Welcome to Soul-Led Creative Women, a podcast for women passionate about personal growth, seeking bold, brave tools to navigate life's ups and downs. Today, I want to dive into something I know many of you will resonate with, the power of embracing your inner phoenix. We all have those moments in life, the ones that shake us to our core, where everything feels like it's crumbling and falling apart around us. And if you're anything like me, you might have found yourself asking, who even am I now? And where do I go from here? If you're in a season of transition, loss, or reinvention, I see you, I feel you, I've been there. And this episode is for you. So settle in and let's talk about what it means to rise from the ashes and reclaim your power. Here's the hard truth. Something has to die before something new can be born. And that might sound a bit dramatic, but it's actually a natural and necessary part of life. Endings, whether they're physical, emotional, spiritual, or mental, they aren't just losses, they're invitations for renewal. The question I want you to sit with today is, what needs to die before you can do, be, or have what you truly desire? I know this truth intimately because I've lived it. For years, I thrived in the business world, and from the outside, it looked really peachy. I had success, security, and stability, but inside I felt disconnected, burnt out, and unfulfilled. Despite all of my successes and achievements, I always felt like a bit of a round peg in a square hole. I was living a life that no longer fit me, and my soul was whispering that it was time to let go. The fear of leaving behind that identity, my career, and everything that I built was really overwhelming. And it took me years to actually embrace it and to finally let go. But I don't believe it has to be like that for everyone. I just didn't have the guidance and the information back then. And I really resisted it because letting go isn't easy, especially when the thing we need to release is something we once worked so hard for and something we really fought to be good at and to be successful at. But evolution is non-negotiable. Eventually, I had to release my grip on my career. I'd spent almost 20 years building it. It wasn't just about quitting a job. It was about letting an entire version of myself die. And it was really terrifying. It was messy. And yet it was the beginning of something completely new and actually the discovery of what I believe, is my true purpose. The phoenix is one of my favorite metaphors for this type of transformation. When it bursts into flames, it's not an end. It's a necessary destruction to make space for the new. And I know you've probably felt this too. Maybe you've held on to relationships, jobs, identities, or beliefs long past their expiration date, simply because the unknown felt scarier than staying put, even if it went against your personal truth. And here's the thing, not everything is meant to last forever. Some things are meant to be chapters, not the whole book. And when we cling to what's no longer aligned, we only delay the inevitable. And we actually just draw out the pain of it and make it more challenging for ourselves. So I want you to ask yourself, what am I afraid to release? And what is waiting to be born in its place? There are actually two key universal laws that support this, endings and beginnings part of the transformation journey. First one is the law of evolution. So this is all about the fact that growth is inevitable. Everything in nature evolves. We only have to look to nature to sort of see it play out. And we're no different. Holding on to something that no longer fits is like trying to keep a butterfly in its cocoon. The longer we resist the change, the more we suffer. And the second one is the law of intention. What we focus on expands. If we keep replaying old narratives and gripping onto outdated identities, we block new opportunities. But when we set, clear intentional energy towards a new North Star and towards our transformation, we can create space for what we truly desire. When I left my professional career, I wasn't just stepping into an abyss. I was making a conscious commitment to follow creativity, to trust my intuition, and to align my life with my soul's calling. And that intention became my guide through all the uncertainty. The call to grow, to evolve, and to set an intention for a new North Star really guided my soul. If you'd like to learn a bit more about spiritual laws, I do have a powerful spiritual laws audio toolkit. To see that, you just head to samhorton.co/laws. Now, letting go isn't just a one-size-fits-all process. It happens on different levels. The physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. And recognizing where we're holding on can help us to release with a bit more intention. So we can have a look at each of these in a bit more detail. So first of all, physically letting go. This is probably the most tangible and immediate form of release. Shedding possessions, environments, or physical habits that no longer align with who you're becoming. Like decluttering your home is a good example. Letting go of objects, that are tied to past versions of yourself, clothing that no longer fits, gifts from an ex-partner, paperwork from an old job, or things that you've been carrying around for years that you don't need anymore. Even broken things that you were going to fix, but years later, you still haven't gotten around to it. Toys and clothes that your kids outgrown, and the list just goes on. Also, changing your environment. So it could be extremes like moving home or changing cities or countries, or simpler tasks, like tidying your space or redesigning your space to reflect your new energy and the way that you're using that space. It could also be breaking physical unhealthy habits, like smoking or excessive drinking, or bad food patterns that really drain your vitality and stop you from being your best self. When I left my professional career, one of my first actions was actually physically clearing out my old office wardrobe. Those clothes carried an identity that no longer fit with me, and it just didn't feel right to keep wearing them. So, those clothes were tied to an expectation and an identity rather than kind of soul alignment. So releasing them was really important. It was the first step in kind of stepping into the creative life I knew I was meant for. And it did actually take a bit of time to figure out what I was actually going to wear as this new person. But yeah, getting rid of the old stuff was really important. So I want you to ask yourself, what physical things in your environment are keeping you tied to a past chapter? And what could you release today? So next, mentally letting go. So this involves shifting thought patterns, limiting beliefs, and ingrained mindsets that keep you feeling trapped. It could be releasing perfectionism, letting go of the belief that you must be perfect to be worthy, or taking the pressure off yourself to be any further ahead than where you are right now. Stopping comparing yourself to others and focusing on your own goals and progress. It could be letting go of overthinking, learning to trust yourself more and stopping the obsession over every detail before taking action. Or changing your narrative, shifting from I'm not good enough to, I'm constantly evolving and growing and being kinder to yourself. When I transitioned from, the CFO to the artist, one of my biggest mental blocks was the belief that I'd invested so much time and effort and money into my identity as a finance and business professional that I didn't even really know who I was without it. And I had to rewrite my inner definition of how the world saw me and even how I saw myself, from the numbers and business savvy person to the creative free spirit who was taking huge risks and stepping into the unknown. And once I let go of that mental narrative, I was able to relax a bit more into a version of myself that felt more natural and flowed much easier. What limiting thought patterns are keeping you small? and what beliefs need to die for your new reality to emerge. Hey, Sam here. If you're loving this episode, I have a favour to ask you. Can you please find one person that you think might also love this episode and then share it with them from whichever platform you're listening through? I'm just trying to grow this podcast one person at a time, and this small and seemingly insignificant gesture will help me reach more people. Thank you, and let's get back to the episode. The next one is emotionally letting go. So this is all about, unresolved emotions like grief, resentment, guilt, fear, that can keep us really trapped in our old stories. And when we learn how to emotionally release that stuff, it really allows us to free ourselves from past wounds and create space for more joy. This could be forgiveness, letting go of anger towards someone who's hurt you, not for them, but for you and for your own peace. Could be releasing old identities. So mourning a past version of yourself that, you really loved at one point in time and that really helped you so that you can embrace who you're actually becoming. And obviously things like allowing grief to move through you. It's not about shoving things down and ignoring things, but it's actually about processing and allowing things to flow through you. So understanding that, that loss and grieving and, whether it's of relationships, dreams or life chapters, or people or in the physical form, it's all a natural part of our evolution and our growth as humans. So yeah, to grieve is completely natural. I struggled with guilt and shame, and I definitely grieved, once I'd realized that my marriage was beyond repair. And even though the marriage itself was toxic and not serving anyone, I felt like I'd failed, despite knowing deep down that it was the right thing to do. And, I've spoken about this quite a bit before, but my art practice really helped me to process those emotions and feelings and to heal enough so that I could muster the courage to follow through, let the marriage go and eventually feel immense gratitude for that chapter without being weighed down by it. I want you to ask yourself, what emotions are you holding on to that may be keeping you from fully stepping into your future? And then we have spiritually letting go. So this is all about surrender, releasing control, trusting the process and embracing divine timing and the unknown. And for you, this might mean, just releasing the need to control everything. I was a complete control freak for a long time in my life, and learning to trust that life is unfolding in divine timing is, still something that I have to really work on to this day. It could be letting go of fear of the unknown. We carry these fears around with us that stop us from taking action when really, leaning into faith and trust, is really the only way we can move forward sometimes in these really big moments. And, spiritually letting go can also be about realigning with your inner wisdom. So, releasing all these external expectations, society's expectations, friends, parents, husbands, wives, whatever, and tuning into, your soul's guidance and, the inner wisdom you hold within you. It's a really powerful moment of realization when you realize that you actually have everything you need. You just need to tap into it and let it guide you. When I took the leap into, a creative path, I had no guarantees. I still don't. But I had to let go of certainty and embrace trust. But I tell you what, it feels so much better to set an intention for the future that's aligned with your soul than to hang on through fear of the unknown. And had I waited until I had everything figured out and my path was clear and safe, I would still be stuck there in a life that wasn't meant for me. And let's be honest, I may never have figured it out if I'd stayed in that place, if I hadn't let go and taken a leap of faith. So I want you to ask yourself, where are you resisting change because it feels a bit uncertain and scary? And what might happen if you trusted the unknown is leading you somewhere beautiful? So sometimes when we're facing, these moments of letting go so that we can welcome in the new, it can be really overwhelming. And often, it's easier said than done, right? So if you are navigating a period of transition, I do have a few spiritual and creative tools that I'll mention here that really can help support your transformation and help you embrace your inner phoenix. So the first one is really just journaling and reflection. This inner soul-led inquiry is something I'm really passionate about. And it's only when we intentionally have a conversation with our inner world and our soul that we're, really able to get the answers that we need to hear. So write down what you need to let go of, journal about it, brainstorm it, and let your pen be a tool for your surrender and see what comes out. The next suggestion I have is artistic expression. Do something creative, paint, draw, create something that's symbolic, of what you need to release in your life. It doesn't have to be drawing an actual thing. It can just be playing with art materials and doing something really abstract. You just don't know what's going to come out until you sit down and try it. And you might be really surprised about what you can express when you engage in a conversation with your soul without using logic or words. You can also try some specific exercises in my Creative Awakening workbook, which is specifically designed to help you let go, step into the unknown, and set powerful future intentions. So you can have a look at that at samhorton.co/workbook. Another suggestion I have is rituals and ceremonies. Simple things like, burning a letter, lighting a candle, even planting something, as a tangible act of release and renewal. And these powerful rituals can feel really cathartic, symbolic, and they can be really tangible, and help you kind of shift your energy. Another one is meditation and visualization. So, imagine you are a phoenix rising from the ashes, in a meditation, or try a visualization specifically for surrender and letting go. Movement and dance is also really powerful. Embody sort of your own transformation by moving, through it physically. Let your feelings and emotions, move through you, and then just sort of see how that makes you feel afterwards. But ultimately, you need to find the practice that speaks to you and let it guide your process. Lean on the things that really feel good to you. So the thing that I'd really love you to take away from today's episode is that endings are not failures. They're declarations of your commitment to growth. When we release, we don't lose, we make space for something even greater. So I want to leave you with the question we started with, which is, what needs to die before you can do, be, or have what you truly want? Sit with it, journal on it, trust in the cycle of death and rebirth, because just like the phoenix, you are meant to rise. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Send me a message, share it with a friend who might need this reminder, or let's continue the conversation inside the soul-led creative community. Until next time, keep creating, keep evolving, and keep trusting in your beautiful, ever-unfolding journey. Take care. Hey, Sam here. Thanks so much for listening to the end. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Join my free soul-led creative community and gain access to free guides and resources, plus exclusive events and workshops, all from within the members area. This is your chance to connect with me and other like-minded souls. Please head to samhorton.co/community. Take care.